Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Los Chelazos Wash Processed El Salvador from Sweet Bloom Coffee Roasters. And there's the bag right there. And Sweet Bloom based out of Lakewood, Colorado, and the coffee roaster we feature the most on this channel as they are one of our favorite coffee roasters in the entire world. This is the first El Salvador review of the year. And after many years of drinking Sweet Bloom's coffees, I've oftentimes felt that they do a better job with their smaller coffee countries, say in El Salvador, than they do with something like an Ethiopian or a Colombian. So seeing this on their website was something that definitely caught our interest. This right here is day 19 of this coffee. All right, recipe we have for Sweet Bloom, 16.67 to 1, water to coffee ratio at 204 degrees Fahrenheit, brewed through the Chemex. They are a light medium American for the roast profile. And let's start discussing this coffee. All right, day 7, first impression, and it was an amazing first impression, which is a little unusual for Sweet Bloom coffees, as oftentimes feel like they can be at their very best later in the life of the coffee, but day 6, day 7, day 8, they can be slightly underwhelming. So having a positive first impression like this is a good start. Pineapple acidity right off the bat, and it kind of cools down into this really brilliant chocolate and cookie sweetness. And they have listed on here a Chips Ahoy flavor note. So of course we went out and purchased a bag of Chips Ahoy cookies, and honestly the resemblance is a little uncanny. It could be the priming effect, but I've never had a cup of coffee that resembles a Chips Ahoy cookie as much as this cup of coffee did. Day 9, every bit as wonderful as the first impression we had had. There was a slight added bit of stone fruit, florals, as well as a very slight herbal component in this cup of coffee. So this coffee is pretty layered. So it has a pineapple kind of citrus acidity at the very start. Then it has this sugary cookie sweetness, which is very much the theme of this video. Those are by far the two most dominant things in this cup. And then underneath that, there is those slight florals, stone fruits, even herbal component in this cup as well. Day 11, pineapple acidity. Again, earlier on in the cup, the higher temperatures you're drinking it at will have that pineapple-like acidity, the citrus-like acidity, and then it'll cool down into a very notable, prominent, sugary sweetness in the cup. Day 13, consistent cup of coffee. As we mentioned, a lot of these notes are going to be the same as, yeah, it's a very, very consistent cup of coffee. Classic Sweet Bloom in that sense that it has that really, really lovely sugary sweetness in the finish as the coffee has cooled down. On day 15, if there's any sort of criticism, if this is even a criticism of this coffee, it's that Sweet Bloom coffees tend to significantly improve from the first time you drink them until the very end. So typically underwhelming earlier on in the cup, but by the time you're getting even day 16, 17, 18, the coffee can be at its very best. This coffee only slightly increased from the first time we tried it. That being said, it was such a positive first impression that there wasn't too much room for the coffee to get that much better to begin with anyway. Day 17, final day of the cup of coffee, and the biggest change we noticed from the first time we were drinking it until the very end was that the citrus acidity had died down slightly from the first time, and the sugary sweetness was just a little bit more pronounced, and that was probably because there was a little less in the cup of coffee from the other things you were getting at the very start of the coffee. All right, let's go ahead and put up the tasting wheel so you can see what we're getting. And this is a classic Sweet Bloom tasting wheel in the sense that you have the sweetness at level 4, and always say that when the sweetness is at a level 4 for a Sweet Bloom coffee. Other things worth noting, the acidity probably could have been at a level 4 on certain days, but really like the way it is at level 3. Finish level 3, cleanliness on some days could probably be a level 4, but really happy with it at level 3. Body, kind of expected for an El Salvador to be a little bit more medium bodied than a lot of other cups of coffee through the Chemex, so level 3 looks good. Savoriness, as mentioned, a slight bit of the herbal component in this cup, slight smoky, slight bitter. And this is my favorite part of the tasting wheel. Chocolate at level 4 puts that to emphasize that the cookie was the most pronounced thing. Citrus fruit at level 3 because the second most pronounced thing was this citrus-like acidity, and then the stone fruit at level 2 as well as the florals at level 2, the 4-3-2, because in that order, this is the way you were tasting this cup of coffee. That sugary sweetness was the most dominant thing, citrus, acidity, and then these other slight things in this layered cup of coffee that you were getting, ever so slightly subtle, but definitely there in this cup as well. All right, overall thoughts and impressions of this cup of coffee, and in the same vein that the Kian Jege was one of the cups of coffee that we were looking most forward to drinking every single morning, this coffee is actually very much in line with that. This epitomizes exactly what Sweet Bloom is in the sense that it has that really lovely and delightful sugary sweetness that comes in so many of their cups of coffee. So honestly, this just brought back so many memories of drinking so many Sweet Bloom cups of coffee, and really think they did an amazing job with this cup of coffee. So it's not going to finish in our top 10 favorite coffees of the year, but it was probably one of the most enjoyable cups of coffee we've had throughout the year, as yeah, it's really impressive that they were able to get this flavor note so in line with something as obscure as a Chips Ahoy flavor note, in our opinions. So the type of person we would suggest this cup of coffee to is anybody that is curious to see if a cup of coffee can come so close to resembling a specific cookie in the same sense that Sweet Bloom did with the Chips Ahoy, because we mentioned a lot that usually do a good job of avoiding any sort of priming effect with so many other flavor notes in the past, but honestly felt that this one was just very much in line with the sugary sweetness that comes from a Chips Ahoy cookie. Slight other things, you know, if you're looking for a little bit more layered cup of coffee, this has a nice bit of layer to it as well, and just really, really enjoyable in our experience. So yeah, honestly, think I'm just going to leave it at that. If you've by chance tried this coffee, would love to know your thoughts and impressions of it as well. If you're enjoying the content, give this video a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. This right here has been a review of the Los Chelazos wash processed El Salvador from Sweet Bloom Coffee Roasters. Thank you for watching.